Hey guys, what's up? It's Bib07 here again, and welcome to another RuneScape 3 video here today. This is going to be my Phase 7 Zamorak guide for solo kills. I'm not really going to be including tips for group in this, but generally group is easier than solo, so you can kind of adapt these strategies to a group kill. I've used pretty similar strategies in duo with some success, so just be keeping that in mind. Sorry this took so long to get out. I know I said in my day one guide I'd be trying to make it the next day, but this phase turned out to be a lot more difficult than I was expecting, and I wanted to make sure I had some at least decent strategies in this video for you guys. And yeah, these aren't necessarily the best strategies, but we'll see if they come up with anything better in the future. This is, of course, going to be in addition to my day one guide I made for the sub 100% solos. There's a few things in that guide that aren't quite correct, but I'll either continue to correct those in the pinned comment on that video, or maybe I'll make a revised version. But either way, if you're looking for info on the first 6 phases or below 100%, then you want to check that video out. I'll leave a link in the description. And I should say up front here that this guide will be using a Fractured Staff of Armadyl rotation. You'll also need Adrenaline Renewals, Disruption Shield, Limitless Ability, Conservation of Energy, Archaeology Relic, and the Vigor passive. Just as a couple things. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that you'll need other than that, but those are some of the notables. If you don't have Fractured Staff of Armadyl, this phase will be quite difficult using the burst method that people are using right now, but it could definitely easily be done with max range at the lower sorts of invasions, especially if you use Storm Shards and Shatter. Because SGB is quite strong here, but I don't really range, so I don't know those rotations at all. And melee, I have no idea. I don't know anything about the melee meta, so I'm not sure about that. But that's just what I use is the Fractured Staff of Armadyl. So if you don't have that, I'm sorry, this might be a little more difficult for you. But you can try doing similar things, just the damage might not be there with your setup if you don't have it. Also, Jagex has hinted that there may be a better method that doesn't require such crazy burst tactics, but that is yet to be discovered by anyone in the community as far as I know. But I'll update in the comments if some better strategy is found. Anyway, above 100%, phases 1 through 6 are mostly done the same, except for the edict order you use. That pretty much changes completely. So this brings us to the first mechanic to talk about for 100% Enrage in Phase 7. In Phase 7, Zamorak will pull you into Infernus for a final stand type encounter, a little bit similar to how Virago's final phase is, although there's no pushing back and forth. And once you're in there, he will basically reverse the order of the stacks on the runes or the edicts, meaning whichever rune you charged first in the fight will then have the least number of stacks on it, and whatever you charged last will have the most number of stacks on it. Because of this, you basically want to do like an opposite order to what you would do sub 100%, which does make phases 1 through 6 a bit harder, but not too much. And the order I do, if you consider the Eastern rune to be rune number 1, is 4, 2, 6, 1, 5, 3. And you can play with the order of them if you want, but you mainly want 4 and 2 near the front as far as I understand it. But the exact order is up for debate, and you probably want 5 and 3 to be the last two. Is pretty much the understanding. And as for the mechanics during the actual phase, firstly, right when you're pulled into Infernus, a demon will be spawned in and start attacking you. It can pretty much just be easily killed. It's pretty inconsequential. Zamorak will be immune and sort of towards the opposite end of the arena, and he will then attack you with 2 normal magic attacks. And then he'll begin channeling what they call a world-ending attack. And as this attack begins, his health bar at the top will change over to a red health bar again, and that will start at 0 and slowly increase with his healing. And the higher this bar gets, basically the more damage he will deal with his hits after you cancel his attack. So that is important to know. The higher the bar gets, the more damage he will deal. At the same time, after his 2 magic attacks and he begins channeling this world-ending attack, he will pull in one of the 5 runes that are around the arena. You've seen them in phases 1 through 6 when you go in to fight the mage. The runes are in the same places, but he'll pull one into him and hold it in front of himself briefly, and he'll then do that to another rune, and it can be the same one. So he'll do it to 2 runes, possibly the same one back to back. And then you will need to kill the 2 runes in that order, in order to stop his attack and make him briefly vulnerable to your attacks. When you kill the first rune also, it's important to note that the red bar will be paused for a bit as he does a little animation. So that can be important to know. When you kill the first rune, the red bar is paused for a little bit. And then when you kill the second rune and make him vulnerable, he'll then, after a short delay, do his slam special from phases 1 through 6, basically doing 2 strong melee hits. And then he'll immediately fire a red smoke bomb, which is similar to the one from the Tear You Asunder special from phases 1 through 6. This will deal massive damage. Some people claim that this damage is the same as what the red bar number is at when you finish the second rune, but from what I've seen, that is just not true. It's definitely related in some way, like it deals more or less damage based on how charged the bar is, but the number definitely isn't directly the same. And as usual with this big red smoke bomb, defensives don't really fully work on it, so you can't just completely block it at all. And then shortly following that, he will do 3 auto attacks that will look like his magic attacks, but they will instead deal large typeless damage instead of magic damage. And this too will be related to the red bar. Basically, higher red bar, more damage these autos will deal. And some people claim that each of these is 10% of the bomb hit that you took. But again, that just seems to be completely wrong from what I've seen. So I'm not sure where people get that from. But if you have heard that, I mean, I just don't think it's correct based on all the attempts and things I've looked at. But after these autos, he will then become immune again and summon another demon. And he'll also do another melee slam special. And he will shoot another bomb. But that bomb does much less damage than the first, so it's less dangerous. And he'll then repeat the rune pulling mechanic again, and his red bar will reset to 0 and start building up again during this rune mechanic. Unless you're above 1,000% in rage, I think it actually doesn't reset. But I mean, I don't think any of us are quite that high yet. And yeah, those are the mechanics. That'll basically repeat forever, I guess, until you actually kill him or die, which is much more likely if you don't kill him soon enough. You really have very little time to damage him when he becomes vulnerable, and at the same time, he will be sending out tons of damage, so it can be pretty difficult to manage to get out damage while being able to avoid dying. But I'll now go into my specific strategy and rotation for the phase. This is what I use, and it works for me, so I'm just sharing it with you in case it will help you get some kills. There's better strategies or rotations out there, but this is the one I'm currently using with success. So when I'm pulled into phase 7, I'll be praying magic and make sure I have that on or switch to it if I need to. I'll target cycle to the demon, use like Corruption Blast, Greater Concentrated Blast, then like Wild Magic, finish off with some basics. It's pretty easy to kill that thing. I'll then run over to Zammy and Vuln Bomb and Smoke Cloud him while eating up to full HP if I need to, and I'll use defensives like Anticipate and Freedom to make sure I stay at 100% Adren while eating if I need to. And I'll make sure you switch over to Melee Prayer early, like right after his magic hits are done. There's 2 of those. You can switch over to Melee Prayer since you can't soul split the runes, and you don't want to forget to switch over to Melee Prayer when he's doing his slam attack for sure. Then when he pulls in the first rune, I'll run over to it as fast as I can and use Omni Power on it and basics to basically kill it as quickly as possible to get that pause on the red bar. I think that's definitely worth doing because you will get Omni Power back soon enough to use it to damage him. I'll then run over to the second rune and use Tsunami and the Fractured Staff of Armadillo special attack right afterwards. And I'll also use an Adren pot here, and with that, build with basics to 100% as fast as possible. And then if it's one of the 2 runes that are close to Zamorak, you can use Metamorphosis pretty much as soon as possible and then finish the rune quickly after that. But if it's one of the ones that's in the back, one of the 3 that's kind of far away from him, then you're going to want to kill it and kind of try and start surging and bladed diving away right as it's dying, and then Metamorphosis as soon as possible once you get back to him. And then if you do have the Conservation of Energy and the Vigor passive, you will have 20% Adren. So I then will Limitless and use Smoke Tendrils immediately, and that will get you a ton of Adren back with the Staff of Armadillo special attack. And then I will follow that up with Debilitate, because this will be when the melee hits will be coming. And I'll also drink a Power Burst of Vitality around now. And after the melee hits land, I will use Disruption Shield to reduce the bomb damage. So that's kind of a lot of stuff to do all at once, but you definitely want to use all that to make sure you reduce the bomb damage. And debilitate is very important here because it will reduce the damage of the auto attacks by quite a lot. And those can deal a lot of damage if you're not too fast in killing the runes. So I do highly recommend debilitate there. It is pretty worth it. You'll then want to use Shatter if you have built up Storm Shards during the kill. That's something you can do. It will help quite a lot. You'll get a 30k hit followed, and it's a guaranteed crit, so that will let you get a proc of your Fractured Staff special as well. So that can be very helpful. You will of course have to build up those shards during phases 1 through 6, but especially if you're struggling, I will highly recommend that. If you don't have the shards though, you can just use Wild Magic, and then you can your Omni Power should be up by now to use once again. And then you want to use the Armadillo Battle Staff spec from your EOF if you have it, or just you can just Asphyx. And usually if this is all done right, he will be dead around now. If not, you pretty much just want to improvise from here using basics and Armadillo Battle Staff spec or thresholds as much as you can. And then once he goes immune, you'll want to drop Prayer and Resonance the melee hit before the second bomb, because that will heal you massively and pretty much get you full health. So you want to Resonance that and then use Reflect for the bomb. You can also Shield Dome if necessary for the bomb, but it usually isn't needed since the bomb hits a lot lower than the first one. Reflect should be fine enough for that. And at this point, he should be at least below 30k health, usually much less even. And I will then just take it very slow, kill the demon, and take the runes as slow as needed. If he's higher health, like around 30k, I'll even wait for my Tsunami and Fractured Staff spec to come off again, possibly even use Metamorphosis again if I need to. And then right when you kill that second rune, just immediately dump Omni Power, Wild Magic, and, Dragon Breath or whatever when he's vulnerable. And he should die like right away before the bomb can even hit you. Just make sure you have your melee prayer on, because you might take one or two of those melee hits. But you should be able to kill him pretty much instantly before he can hit you with that bomb. Otherwise, you're pretty much just going to die to that bomb hit, because if you are taking it slow, and it's kind of difficult to go fast after just dealing with that entire massive damage intake, your red bar will be really high, so that bomb will hit massively. And as far as I know, this should really work all the way to 1000%. But if you're at some point going to need more than these two, like it's basically like a cycle and a half, because you're not taking the bomb again, there'll just have to be some large changes to the strategy to allow you to more quickly kill the runes on the second cycle, so you don't take a massive bomb hit. But at the moment, as far as I understand, this should pretty much work for now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm currently at 330% in Rage, and I'm going to try and probably push to 500% tomorrow to get the title at least. And this strategy has been very consistent for me so far since I started using it, and I'm going to continue using it as long as it works pretty much. Let me know if you guys have any extra tips or ideas in the comments, and let me know if this helped you out. And I may make a video on my thoughts after I reach 500% in Rage, so you can look out for that. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.